year again.
Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on 1290 WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Time once again for the monthly Monday morning meeting with the mayor. Mayor Rudy Wright joins us, takes your phone calls and comments in the studio, 327-WHKY, 327-9459. Mr. Mayor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Hal.
Hope you're well, sir.
Couldn't be better.
Now, I know that we can't talk about this, but you are running for a state office, and of course, that's one thing that's kind of out of or off limits or out of bounds. Can't talk about that this morning as people call in. You're running for a state office. Election day is tomorrow, so I know that you've probably been busy with that, and like I said, can't talk about that until after the primary. We'll have a little while that we can talk about it, and then we can't talk about it again until the general election coming up this fall. So, well, we will do this. We will, just like we do for all of our candidates who enter the studio, we will just tell you best of luck, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
So hope things turn out good there. Let's talk. There's a lot going on right now in the city of Hickory, so let's just start off talking about downtown and the structure that's going on. We talked about this. Susie and I talked about having our name. We were going to put a name on for the structure downtown, and we didn't get it in on time. I was trying to figure out how to get it. It looks like maybe somebody else has put that on there, and we'll get the station behind it. So we don't know. I haven't checked it out yet, but there's a naming contest going on for the structure downtown. I got one of those entry forms right here that people can be involved with that. But let's talk about the structure, because we've run into some construction problems. Let's talk about that.
Well, I'm not going to say construction problems. I think we have, as we move through the process, we became aware of more engineering issues and safety issues that we want to make sure that we do everything that is reasonable to assure the quality and safety that our constituents expect.
Okay.
And so in our effort to have the structure complete for this summer's activities, we sort of approved the concept without all of the details.
Okay.
Now, as we work through the details, we are finding that we're having to do a few more things. Strengthen the structure a couple of places,
right.
and that's normal. Every business encounters that as they go through projects. Sometimes we business owners, sometimes we plan something for a long time, and then when it comes time to pull the trigger, everything's absolutely ready.
Right.
Sometimes we get into something and say we're going to have this by a certain date, and let's go full speed ahead.
Right.
That's kind of what we've done here. It is going to be a wonderful facility that will be used by thousands and thousands of people from Hickory and from other places. It's going to create a really interesting impression when you look at the old 50s Main Street on the left and the new 21st century up-to-date architectural / artwork on the right.
Right.
And I think it's going to be fascinating. I think everyone is going to say, this is really different, and people from all over are going to say, have you seen what Hickory's done? So I'm encouraged, and I believe that we are going to be very pleased with the outcome of this. And so I'm not going to say we've had problems. I think we've just had clarification of the process as we've gone along, and it was not as quick as we thought, and we probably, in fact, are having to shore up some of the structure for safety.
When we have no idea for a completion date on this as of yet, do we? Because I don't think we're going to have it ready by the time that we're going to name it, from what I've heard, but I don't know. It looks like it's going to be a little bit longer than we thought, because you're dealing with, when I thought about the structure originally, right. I thought you go down, it's like, you put in some tent poles, you pour some cement around them, kind of like a fence in your backyard, and you're done. But then, you talk to people, well, some of this has been there, some of the brick and some of the structure has been there that's, been there for 100 years or more. You know, you start digging up stuff, you start to find out, there's a water pipe here, there's electric running this way. So, you know, you run into situations.
The foundations had to go a little deeper and wider. And of course, being in the sign business, I understand wind loads. And, for example, you know, the higher a sign goes, the broader the base has to be.
Okay.
The higher it goes, the thicker the steel pipe has to be. And I'm not an engineer, but I have software programs that help me calculate that,
right?
So that I can put up a structure that is able to withstand 90-mile-per-hour winds.
Would you pop on the headphones, please? Because we got a caller this morning that's got a question for you, and we're going to go to Ann on the phones. Good morning, Ann, and we're about ready to go to break. So if you would, please, your question for the mayor this morning.
Okay. I know we can't talk about him running for state auditor,
right.
But I'd like to ask, the tent project down on Main Street initially was $285,000, and an additional $137,000 was asked for later. That's a 35% increase over the initial request. I've also heard that more money might be asked for in the very near future. I'd like to know of the mayor, who is auditing the project down on Main Street, on Union Square.
Ann, thank you very much for your question.
And we'll answer that when we get back from the break.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much. 327-WHKY, 327-9459. Yeah, we do want to talk about that because there was a certain amount that was asked for, and then a certain amount, from what I understand, what was added to it. 327-WHKY, 327-9459. Name the structure. Submit a creative name of the structure downtown. It's going to be on the Union Square in downtown that will house the farmers market, local concert events, and a community meeting place. You can do that at hickoryspeaks.com. hickoryspeaks.com. More First Talk right after the break. Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on 1290 WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Mayor Rudy Wright joins us this morning. Before we went to break, there was a question regarding funding of the downtown project and additional funding that's coming. First of all, the funding is not coming from, help me with this now. It's not coming from the general tax base, right? It's coming from the parking fund.
Parking fund is based on is from from parking space rentals and fines levied for improper parking.
Okay.
And we've always felt that anything we could do that facilitated the logistics of downtown shopping and use, which would involve moving some parking spaces around in this case,
right,
that the parking fund is for that purpose. And so that's a legitimate use of this fund.
Okay.
Now, the issue of auditing, I'm not going to touch on that because we do have an audit each year by a very qualified independent auditing firm. But I'm not going to touch on that. I think that was more a political aside than anything else. Here is where we are. First of all, we are totally transparent. We're not trying. We have made no effort to conceal the cost of this structure. The people deserve to know what the structure is going to cost. But what is going on? I always level with people. What is going on is that everything that we propose that we believe will benefit significant numbers of people, that will be a true economic asset as well as a quality of life asset for us, everything we say is being attacked often in a politically partisan manner because of the decision we made that underutilized swimming pools, and I'm going to go back and point out, 20 kids a day at each pool, 2.5 months a year, and we made a decision not to spend $800,000 plus operating costs to upgrade and maintain those. And for political reasons, we continue and everything that we propose, I will tell the good people of Hickory of all political persuasions, anything and incidentally, I apologize for even using the word politics. Until very recently, I have not seen partisan politics brought in to city council. But recently, we are seeing that, and it's shameful. But everything we propose for the common good, we're going to have to we'll be under assault because of those swimming pools. So I'm just telling it like it is. That's the whole truth. Okay? Now, let's get back to the structure. Every business in the city operates much like a business. We have our executives. We have our managers. We have the board of directors, the city council. And everybody has the best interest of the taxpayers and citizens of this city at heart. Everyone sometimes makes a decision with less than complete information. So what it boiled down to is, do we put a halt to this thing, or do we finish it? That's what it boiled down to. And of course the only answer is to finish it. And everyone knows the answer is to finish it. But this partisan politics brought into this put us in a position where we're coming under criticism for this project, and we'll come under criticism for every project we ever do.
So we have cost overruns, and we hope we've got those covered, but do you think you may even see more? We still don't know.
Well, a cost overrun, a cost overrun that can imply so many things.
Well, help me then.
What happened was we made a decision, and part of that decision process involved estimated cost to do it.
Okay.
There's no question.
All right.
The estimated cost to do it was not correct.
Gotcha.
Nobody did that intentionally.
Right.
We have made no effort to cover it up.
Cost more than you thought it was going to cost.
Well, but it's not. It's only a cost overrun, I guess. If if we were incurring huge amounts of overtime to rush something through to appease someone or something, maybe that's an overrun. We underestimated what it would cost.
Okay, there you go.
And probably, as Brad Lale very eloquently said, and I agreed, with hindsight, we might have even said, let's do this next year. I'll be honest with you, we may have done it. We're in the middle of it. It's not a bad idea. It's a wonderful idea, and we're going to finish it.
Very good. Anything else on that? Because I do want to move it here. There's a lot that we're going to cover this morning.
I'm done with that.
All right. One thing I want to ask about, Hickory Alive. Hickory Alive, it looks like there is a shorter schedule this year for Hickory Alive. Do you know of any reasons for that, why it went from 2 months in the summer? Because one of the things about the downtown structure that it promotes is it's going to house Hickory Alive. It's not just the farmers market. It's not just this or not just that, but it's going to be a place to host Hickory Alive. And now Hickory Alive has been, do you have any idea or any sense of why that may have happened?
I think you'll have to talk to the JCs.
Okay.
It could be that someone within the city has some involvement in that too, but I don't know of it.
Okay.
If they do, I'm not privy to it.
Okay.
But I think you'll have to talk to the JCs. The only thing I personally have done is I have let the word get out that I would like to make sure that we don't have bands shouting out a lot of vulgar lyrics, if that's happening.
Right.
And I've heard reports that maybe that has happened a time or two.
Okay.
It is our front porch, so to speak. And secondly, find a way to keep the kids separate from the adults. And I'm not sure what we do about that when the parents are dropping them off down there, and sometimes the kids start, now this is not gangs, I don't mean that, but the kids start aggregating into groups, and suddenly you think, well, it'd be pretty easy for somebody to get mad and something happen.
Sure.
And It's just not a place for hundreds of unsupervised 12, 13, and 14-year-old kids together.
When we come back, other things I want to talk about going on in the city of Hickory, more with the monthly Monday morning meeting with the mayor. Mayor Rudy Wright joins us this morning on First Talk, taking your questions and phone calls, 327-WHKY, 327-9459. Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on 1290 WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Some things that have been in the press that I want to hear your opinion. And, of course, we want people to call in. 327-WHKY, 327-9459. Call us and let us know we'll take your comments, take your questions. 327-WHKY, 327-9459. I want to find out about this because you're going to have to help me understand this because I'm not really probably as up to speed on this as I need to be. Help me with the consent agenda at City Council and what that means and getting items on or off the consent agenda. Help me with what's happened there and help me understand the situation as you understand it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, there are essentially three ways that we can vote on something.
Okay.
Now, by law, certain things have to have a public hearing.
Okay.
And that would be things like a curb and gutter assessment, or it can be a land purchase, sometimes land purchases. I mean, I can't even recall exactly what the criteria are, but I sort of understand when I see something why it's a public hearing or why it isn't.
Right.
It usually involves assessing some kind of tax on people or resolving a dispute of some kind.
Okay.
Those usually require a public hearing. Then we have those items that are of such that are believed to have either controversy or just huge public interest or the amount of money involved that we have that we treat it as a separate item, and we have staff discussion and council discussion and vote on it. So we got the one, public hearings required. Two, we decide that a separate discussion is warranted.
Right.
Then we have the consent agenda, and what that means is these are items that all of us council members have studied to our satisfaction, and we don't believe we need any further explanation or information, and so we just pass them as a group. Probably 85 to 90% of the things we approve that we direct staff to move forward with are done on the consent agenda, which is no different from virtually every other governmental entity. I mean, there are things like, every budget amendment, a $50 budget amendment has to go through City Council.
Okay.
So, obviously, we don't want to spend a lot of the taxpayers' time and people at the meeting and all discussing a $50 transfer from the general fund to the water and sewer fund. So, that goes on the consent agenda. Also, much more important things go on there, but if they're routine and no feeling that further discussion would be significant to the to people, then we include it on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Any council member can ask that something be moved off the consent agenda and discussed for clarification or for any other reason, or if the council member wants to vote against it. You know, you either vote 100% for the consent agenda or 100% against it.
Okay.
But nobody wants to vote 100% against it, but they might want to vote against one thing.
Okay.
So we get it off the consent agenda, and they get a chance to vote against it. And that's been fairly routine over the years. It's worked very well for us, and it's not an attempt to conceal anything. Everything's a public record. It's laid out there in advance for every citizen to look at. We distribute at the front desk as people come in. We distribute an agenda, And on the front of the agenda, and I've got to be very honest with everyone, I had never read what was being given to the public, and I think none of the other council members had. We've never read the wording in that, but it says, and apparently at some point council approved this, that any citizen can ask that something be removed from the consent agenda. And that was pointed out to us at the last meeting, and so we, even not understanding why there was a difference in our understanding and what the printed paper said, we took those items off the consent agenda and discussed them separately, and we're glad to do that. I don't know exactly how we're going to clarify this in the future, but I want everyone to understand one thing. It will be clarified in the interest of greater transparency and more citizen involvement, and not less. However, we are not going to let citizens, we're not going to let somebody harass the council and harass, in effect, all the people attending the council meeting by asking, for example, that everything be taken off the consent agenda. Because what that would do is it would make the meetings longer than it would be productive for the people. And I don't know how long if the meeting's 3 hours, I've sat through 5.5 hour meetings. As long as it's productive for the people, I don't care how long it is. But just to make it longer to harass. I'm not saying that's ever happened, but I could see it happening.
Right.
That someone would say, I want every item taken off the consent agenda and individually discussed. So what we're going to do, I think, now we're a long way from getting there.
Right.
But I think what we're going to do is work out a way that every resident, citizen of Hickory, got to be a Hickory resident to do this. But if you're a Hickory resident, you can ask that something be removed from the consent agenda. And then the first order of business for the city council when we get to the consent agenda will be to vote on whether to remove those items from the consent agenda.
Okay.
So if somebody says, I want everything removed from the consent agenda, we're going to vote no.
Right.
But if anybody asks that one or two things be removed, we're absolutely going to vote yes. There is nothing, we are not trying to be secretive.
Or consider whether the council, as a council, wants to have it removed or not. You may have a 3-2 vote, right, or something like that.
Well, I just know that this council, if somebody asks that one item be removed, it will be removed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Unless for some reason it's clear that that's harassment. A $50 transfer, donations to the city require a vote of council. So if somebody says they want us to separately consider a $50 donation to the library fund, we might decide that's harassment and just vote no. But we're going to be more transparent, not less, and we're going to clarify these instructions that, frankly, whether this is good or not, we did not understand.
Very good. More with the mayor after the break. Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on 1290 WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Taking your questions and your phone calls with the monthly meeting with the mayor. Mayor Rudy Wright, mayor of the city of Hickory, kind enough to come in and spend time with us. He's got his own business. He's a busy guy, but donates his time once a month to come take your questions, your phone calls, and talk about issues facing the city of Hickory.
Well, it's not really a donation, Hal. The city, the taxpayers pay me $20 a day plus health insurance.
Okay. Well, we don't. Here's the good news here. You're getting a raise. From what we normally give you here, we're going to double your, it's like Joe in the movie review and the other folks who come in. We're going to double your salary here at the station. Good morning, Jimmy. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you very much. You have a question for the mayor or a comment this morning?
Yeah, I called about a year ago and asked the mayor about the possibility of putting in the flashing left turn signals in at a lot of the intersections in Hickory because I thought it would help with the traffic flow, and he had said we might have to check into it as far as safety reasons and things like that. Didn't know if he had an update for me on that situation and I know down there on McDonald Parkway, what I consider the back way into Sam's and Walmart, I'm really surprised there's not a lot of wreck down there. But there's a lot of times when people are sitting there waiting to turn left into that shopping center, they could probably be going if there was a flashing turn signal there.
Well, I'm going to call our traffic people right now, and I'm going to mention that specific one to them.
All right. I thank you very much.
Because I agree with you. That is.
I've seen them around other cities. They got them in Charlotte. Lord God, if they can have them down there and it's safe for those people to wait, crazy people to drive down there, surely we can do it here.
I'll tell you what. I was in Raleigh driving, and I realized the difference between Hickory and Raleigh. I happened to be distracted for about 2 seconds and didn't make my left turn.
Yeah.
And all the horns started tooting. Boy, they were riding those horns.
Yeah. Well, good luck in your run for the state auditor as well, by the way.
Oh, you're nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Take care.
Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye. 327 WHKY, 327-9459. That is a situation with gas prices, where they were, safety issues, and moving traffic through the city. Is that something that Public Works can take a look at? Is that something that we can program? Because I know I have learned this through Get Hip to Hickory and through talking with you. There's certain streets and certain stoplights that are the responsibility of the city of Hickory for maintenance.
I'm certain that this one's a DOT, but we can get to DOT, and our traffic people can get to them and make a recommendation. That doesn't mean they will do it. They make their decisions and we make ours, and that is a really tricky left turn there because, like Jimmy pointed out, that backs up pretty badly, and you've got people coming along there at 45 miles an hour, and all of a sudden people are stopped right in the road. It's tricky.
You got to stop. You got people coming off the interstate. They have to make, if they're going from the interstate, coming from like Burke County, if they're coming west to east, they get off the interstate. Now, if they're going straight, that one lane's a dandy. You just keep going straight, and you got maybe a quarter mile there to get all the way over to the left to go to make that left and come into Sam's or.
But if you've got a long line.
If you want to make it to Bob Evans, forget it.
Yeah, if you got a long line there, you've got to. When you come off of that exit ramp, you've got about 3 feet to get in.
You'll make a hard left, ready to make that left again. 327 WHKY, 327-9459. A couple things before we wrap up. Playful City USA. This is something that you have to apply for. It's not just handed out. There has to be a process, a nomination and a request. So we've made Playful City USA again. Partially the park, the Zara Baker Playground for All Children, partially funded through Kaboom, thanks to that designation. And now, of course, because of that designation, because of the park, maybe another reason that we were awarded that Playful City USA again. Your comments on that?
Well, it's just another example of how we want to provide recreational as well as cultural and social opportunities for as broad a number of people as we can. I'm very pleased that Zara's Playground is going to be in a neighborhood that I think will benefit greatly from that enhancement. And also, of course, it's just a beautiful playground that's going to be a source of conversation throughout the state.
We got another phone call if you pop on those headphones. We do have we got it right at 3 minutes.
Okay.
3 minutes. So we want to let that know. We got a caller on the air this morning. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning. Good morning. So nice to talk to you all. And I agree with what the mayor has said. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to have a nice civil discussion about what's going on. And I can understand how they'd want to pass $50 for the consent agenda for library donations and things like that. But what we've been discussing is the $286,000 event project going on downtown at Union Square, and then also another half over again to spend for that. Like it's up to $422,000 now. And so what we realized is there was money to rehabilitate the swimming pools, but they were bulldozed a year ago in February, 2 swimming pools for the public. And, we know we have a survey that says every quadrant of our city wants swimming pools. And we want the children to learn how to swim is the major thing. We want them to know how to survive in the water and enjoy it, especially because swimming is a lifetime fitness sport. And this all goes with Fun City. It goes along with health. It goes along with reducing diabetes and heart disease in our community. So it all works so well together. And we're just so grateful for this opportunity to have discussions. And we understand from the mayor that the city council meeting is not the time for discussion, but we need to know when is the time for public discussion before things are passed on the consent agenda. So we're just glad for that. You know, we're glad this is the time to reshape the public discourse, and we're really grateful for that.
And we have 1 minute.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm going to we're going to go ahead and go back to off the telephone line, and I'm going to quickly answer that. Thank you,
Rebecca. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
We are. Again, we are very delighted that we're going to build this structure that will benefit thousands of people here in Hickory, probably tens of thousands of people. We have made tremendous efforts to provide opportunities for every child in Hickory to learn how to swim. We will continue to do that, and I think the usage of those pools by 20 kids a day for 2.5 months a year, there were not a whole lot of kids learning how to swim on that.
Very good. Time for public discussion. When do you want to do that? When do we have right here? We can do that right here, can't we?
Well, we could do it right here. I mean, we have a lot of we will continue to have public discussions.
Okay. Very good.
Every citizen has a right at one of our meetings to speak at the end of the meeting. Now, unless it's a public hearing, we don't allow citizens to address the council. But that's I can assure you, anything that needs to be discussed or someone asks to be discussed, it will be discussed.
Very good. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to go ahead and close the way we normally do with our national anthem. Be grateful for what you got. Make it a great day. We'll talk tomorrow on First Talk.